there was gasps when I walked into that gym, when I waddled into that gym, because I'd piled on so much weight in 2 years eating junk. And I said to Mr. Eastwood, I said, I need help.
You're through to Option 1. Option 1 podcast.
What do you think it means to be a man in this day and age? What do you think it takes for someone to be like, yeah, you're a man, you're a good man?
Like I said earlier on, have self-respect and respect for others.
Yeah.
Carry yourself well. Help others. Plenty of people have helped me in my life. You know, I've had a lot of help in my life lots of times over the years. And it's a nice feeling when people come and help you, because then that gives you faith in society.
Yeah.
You know, because if you look at a box of apples or a box of oranges and there's a rotten apple or a rotten orange in the box, if you leave that rotten apple or rotten orange in the box, it rots the rest. And there's a lot of rot in society at the moment, you know, with what's going on in the world, with the stabbings and the shootings and everything else. And it's sad, really.
The stabbings are getting more and more frequent,
it's an epidemic.
aren't they?
It's an epidemic. Young children getting stabbed, boys and girls, and they haven't even lived a life. And what people don't understand is the knock-on effect. A mother that's carried that child for 9 months, it's a horrible feeling to lose a sibling. I've no children, but I've had friends that have lost children, you know.
Do you think that's part of the reason why you decided not to have children, from the way that society is going now, with how
my
dangerous...
my life hasn't been for kids. I was a professional fighter. I travelled the world as a professional fighter, professional sparring partner. Then I became a bodyguard. I've worked the security industry.
Do you enjoy that? For the people that don't know that you do that?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah?
I love it. At this moment in time, I work for two good men. You know, I work for Ali. He has Lois Bullion in the Jewellery Quarter in Birmingham, and John O'Connor has Welsh Civils. And they're kind to me. So really, like, they mind me more than I mind them. But I've worked for celebrities. I've minded a lot of stars over the years. But as you get older, the unsociable hours of working for the stars, I don't want to do them hours anymore. You know, the early hours of the morning, sometimes 24 hours, 48 hours. Yeah. It's a lot of hours as you get older, because I like my sleep now.
Yeah. Well, you know, you've deserved it. You've earned it in your life, I'd say, Joe, because you've had a tough...
I've had a hard life. My life has been like a roller coaster, Theo. But the thing is, I tell people, if you look at a heart monitor, this is my analogy of life, right?
Okay.
If you look at a heart monitor, when your heart beats, it goes up and it goes down, it goes up and it goes down. And that's peaks and troughs, same as in life. You'll experience lows and you'll experience highs. I'm not talking drugs. And I think you've got to experience the lows in life to appreciate the highs. And like I said, I'm not talking drugs. When a person flatlines, they're dead. So that's life, peaks and troughs. Every day you get out of bed, there's a challenge in life. It's going to confront you. You know, there will be a day that you won't get out of bed.
Yeah.
Because every day is a gift from God. And that's why each day is called the present. This is the gift from God. Whether you call him Allah, whether you call him Buddha, whether you call him God, as long as you worship him in the right way, respect yourself and respect others, every day is the gift. That's why it's called the present. One day it will come to the end for me, and one day it'll come to the end for you. I'm not being morbid, but that's life.
I love that.
You know?
I love that analogy.
And
I do like that.
That's life.
What would you say to anyone out there who's, like, struggling with finding what they want to do in life, struggling with battles in their head, struggling with their own mental health? What would you say to someone that needs guidance? Because you seem very wise, Joe.
I've lived a hard life, Theo. I've lived a good life, and I've experienced a lot in my life. You know, I've never took drugs. I don't drink alcohol.
What?
But the thing is, with mental health, I had a depression for 2 years. And when it hit me, I'm not saying that I'm anything special, Theo. I'm nothing special. But when it hit me, I couldn't believe that it hit me.
Yeah.
My boxing career was over. I was a passenger on a coach. I was after winning a good fight. I got 64 stitches after the fight. I got cut across the top of the eye, down the side, across the cheek, across the lip here, across the other. It was a bloodbath of a fight.
Yeah.
But it was a great fight. And I beat Carlton Headley, went on to be the Gladiator Raid, a big powerhouse of a man. It was on a world title bill. Dave Boyd McCauley's bill. He fought the American Lewis Curtis. And I thought, if I can win impressively, if they show any other parts of the undercard, I might get shown on American television. So I was trying so hard to win this fight. I did win, but it was a bloodbath. And then I didn't stay in Belfast. I went home to Dublin, and I was involved in a bad car crash. Shattered my shoulder, shattered my knee, shattered my jaw.
Right.
And my boxing was finished. And then I went into a depression for 2 years. And I couldn't understand what was hitting me. It was like a sucker punch from hell. You know, I was...
Can you describe what sort of... Did anything make you happy during the depression?
Everything I'd ever done. If I cycled a bike, if I walked, if I swam, it was all to benefit boxing. Things that I'd enjoyed, you know, but it was all to benefit boxing. And when my boxing was over, I didn't have any enjoyment in them things. And I just went into this downward spiral. And I remember this particular day, I had a beautiful dog, I had a beautiful boxer dog called Sheba. She lived to 14. She had 24 puppies, 13 her first and her 9 survived, 11 her second and her 7 survived. And one of my friends, Jim Rock, I was with Jim the other night. We did a show in Leeds, an Irish night, with Jim won a version of the world title.
Yeah.
We're there with Steve Collins. I fought Steve twice. All grew up together, you know.
Yeah.
And Jim bought one of my puppies and put it to stud, you know, and then I had one pick of the litter from him. So I had a grandmother and grandson. I called the grandson Solomon. But Sheba went to 14. But I was feeling sorry for myself this day in a spiraled downward slope of depression. And my dog was whinging, crying. And I'm saying, shut up, Sheba, shut up. And then after 2 hours of whinging, crying, I got up and she'd pooed on the floor. And I felt ashamed to think that my dog was in pain and I wouldn't even get out of bed to open the door to let her go out to the toilet. And I knew then there was something wrong.
Yeah.
I knew my life is in a mess. So I went to Mr. Eastwood. I went down to the gym in Belfast. I hadn't been in the gym in 2 years. I'd piled on the weight because I was still getting wages. I was still being looked after and minded by my manager. I was living in his accommodation. But I was just eating junk food because my boxing was over and my mind wasn't focused on anything else. And anyway, I went down to the gym and there was gasps when I walked into that gym, when I waddled into that gym because I'd piled on so much weight in 2 years eating junk. And I said to Mr. Eastwood, I said, I need help. I did need help.
You're getting a bit emotional there, Joe.
Yeah, well, you know, you do.
Hard time.
But listen, we all need help
No.
at some stages of our life. And I went in and I asked for help.
Did you feel embarrassed?
No. Listen, you asked for help.
Yeah.
You know.
If you need it.
He did. He helped me. Mr. Eastwood helped me. He sent me to a health farm. He sent me to Raspberry Hill in Derry. And I went there for 6 or 8 weeks. Got into a different mindset that there was more to life than boxing.
Yeah, yeah.
I lost 22 pounds in weight when I left Raspberry Hill, 6 or 8 weeks, and I focused on other things. I had the safety net of security. But, yeah, I asked for help.
Yeah.
And if anybody out there is suffering, ask for help. Don't suffer in silence. Ask for help.
You're never going to be alone, for those of you watching.
No,
There's always going to be someone.
ask for help. I spoke to the chaps earlier on when we came in and they talked about loneliness. And people say the boxing ring is the loneliest place in the world. It was never lonely for me because there was always somebody hitting me, Theo. You know, whether it be Mike Tyson or Lennox Lewis or Carl Ryan or Sean Regan. I fought some great fighters. You know, I was always getting hit. So I was never lonely in the boxing ring. You had a referee in there as well with you, you know. But I remember on my 21st birthday, I was telling the lads earlier on, I was living in New York. I was working under an assumed name.
Yeah.
Had my social security number. I was entitled to box, but I wasn't entitled to work on the building site. So I really was an illegal working.
Right.
And I couldn't tell anybody on the building site I was 21 because the name I was working under, the man had a wife and 4 kids. So I was using his name and his union card. So after work, I sort of moped around Manhattan.
Yeah.
And went back to Brooklyn. I was living in Bay Ridge in Brooklyn. I was living in 89th and 5th in Bay Ridge. Lived above a Greek delicatessen, Tony Castellanonicus' delicatessen. And I remember coming up out of the subway on 86th and 4th, 11:30 at night, and I phoned home to Dublin to speak to my family. It was still my birthday. It was still half an hour before midnight.
Yeah.
I was still in my birthday. And I remember my brothers and sisters getting up, screaming and shouting at 4:30 in the morning in Dublin, singing happy birthday to me.
Oh.
And I was crying on 86th and 4th outside the subway station. I was surrounded by 10 million people, but I was lonely. I was on my own. And
You're through to
loneliness is a
option
horrible
one.
thing.
Option
And that's why you see
one
some of these charitable organisations that offer company for people. It's a very important thing to have that hand of friendship and to give somebody company, especially somebody that's suffering. You know, a friendly hand, a warm gesture, a kind word.
Making me a bit emotional as well, man. Just thinking about some people do get very lonely.
Don't suffer in silence.
No, that's the important thing. Speak to someone for anyone out there that's struggling, because
Yeah.
there's always going to be someone going through what you're going through, even though
Yeah.
it might not feel like it.